not eliminated. What's up, everybody? How you doing? How's everybody doing today? Welcome back to another live stream. Cool. Thank you for following that on Broski. Very cool. Now, guys, you will see from the title of this stream, I have now started a Discord. So I am now talking to people right here on my Discord. The link is in the description below. If you want a chance to talk to me, I'm going to join the community hangout section. There might be some haters in here now, so let's just see, all right? Hello, can anybody hear me?
Hey, bro.
What's up?
Nothing much.
Is anybody here a hater, an actual hater? Is anyone here, are people here just all like friends and family?
I'm just a guy.
Yeah, you sound like my brother.
I'm an actual fan.
Who's that, Dan?
It's me, Dan. ...
What's up, Dan? How you doing, man? Good to talk to you. Thanks for joining the Discord server.
I'm doing good. It's cool to talk to you as well.
Yeah, of course, man. I appreciate it. Wow, we had a lot of people joining in the community hangout section now.
Did you put a limit on it, Hunter?
No.
Hey, Hunter, what's up?
What's
It's
up, guys?
turn into the Xbox 360 chat.
I am. Yeah, I am gonna have to like. Most likely, I'm not gonna be able to stay here forever. But you guys are on stream, just so you know. We are live right now.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm not going to be here for long. I just wanted to stay with you.
Hunter, I actually have an interesting comment. We met at SAS, and we have both evolved in our political views together, so I'm happy about that.
Very cool. Glad to hear it. I do remember meeting quite a lot of people at SAS, so I'm glad to hear that you have also slowly but surely moved away from some of the more extreme side of conservatism.
Yeah, I still personally consider myself right-leaning, but not necessarily right-wing.
Okay. Yeah, and that's totally fine.
All right, I'm headed out. See ya. Thanks for having me. Bye.
One who made me reconsider my transphobia.
Really? Well, I'm glad to hear it, man. That means a lot. Thank
Hunter,
you.
I fucking love you, man.
Was that Fergie? Wait, was it Fergie who said I helped you reconsider the transphobia?
No, that was someone else.
Okay. Well,
I do want to say something though. I'm not going to be here for long, but I just wanted to say, I love your content. I think out of all the people on YouTube who've had like a redemption arc of some sorts, I think you've definitely had the best one. I really like the way you've been like going back to your old videos and debunking them. I think that's a really cool concept. And
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, just keep up the good work. Yeah,
Thank you guys.
Hey,
and like if you don't believe in something, you shouldn't keep the videos up.
Yeah, I mean that's why I like to try to go back to the old content and deconstruct it. And a lot of my old content that is still up that doesn't necessarily like violate TOS that I might just no longer agree with, I either delete it or some of those videos I just leave up because I want people to see my evolution, but I have them demonetized, so I'm not actually making any money from them.
Yeah.
Maybe if you have ones that you don't want necessarily showing up in your video feed on your channel or whatever, you could unlist them and then just have a place where people can get links to them if they really do want to look and see how you've evolved.
Yeah, I think that I'll just, some of the videos I think are okay still on my channel. And again, as long as I'm not really profiting or making any kind of money off of previous held beliefs, I don't really see it as too much of a problem. So long as the video, it isn't like a blatant hate speech or something that I just want off my channel, which I've already deleted. Like, I forget how much now. I think it was like 10 million plus channel views. So.
I mean, to me that makes sense, but I can see how someone who already has like negative opinions towards you was like, he has this video up, and it completely contradicts what he says today.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and you're always gonna have people like that with the internet, right? Like that's just.
Of course, it's the nature of the beast.
Exactly. Yeah. Wow, we got a lot of people here in the community hangout.
I don't want to interrupt anything.
I have a suggestion.
Oh. Hunter, you're a hero of mine, and I gotta go, but thank you for being a Chad. Good.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I'm always happy to be your Chad.
Hey, I have a suggestion for the server.
Sure.
You may want to edit the permissions for everyone, because as of now, anyone can send pictures to the main chat, and that can get really out of hand. I just want to help you out.
That's actually a very good point. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. I'll look into that and make sure.
Of course. I just don't.
Are there any mods?
Well, okay, we'll talk about this another time, guys. I I am live right now, so is there anybody else? Is there anybody here who is absolutely hates me by any chance, that actually wants a chance to just talk to me for 5 minutes about something you heard me say that gets under your skin really bad or something?
That would be interesting.
That would be me.
Whoa.
Who's that silence liberal?
No, that's not me. That was someone else.
I keep looking at the names.
I think it was Alf Kami Boy.
Yeah, it's me, Comrade Klatt.
Okay.
All right, what's up, Comrade?
So Hunter. Yeah, so Hunter, honestly, do you know what I look at you when I see you on YouTube making those libcuck videos? I absolutely adore it. Thank you very much, man. I love you very, very much, man. I really appreciate you, and I'm such a big fan of your work. I just had to tell you that. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean.
It's all right. I saw the comrade thing. I was like, wait, are we about to like talk to like a tanky or something here? This is about to get insane.
Successful red herring right there.
Yeah.
I was thinking,
I'm a Ford
like,
fan, my
is
dude.
that...
I'm not tanky.
Oh, I was going to like ask if that name was ironic or not.
Who?
I have a comment about your videos. They're really funny.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Can I just get your opinion on something?
So what happened to the FemSun series?
One person asked what my opinion was on something. Then I'll get back to the FemSun question. Go ahead, R&B. I
consider myself a constitutional.
Okay.
Where would you place?
Go ahead. Hello?
I think they might be having mic issues.
Sorry, I consider myself a constitutionalist. Where would you place that?
What do you mean? I'm not entirely sure. I think that where would I place it where? On what is my opinion of that?
Everybody likes to place things on the left or the right.
Oh. When I hear constitutionalist, I tend to think that the person's going to be more right-leaning, but that's just my initial first thought. That's not really based on anything. Where would you place yourself?
Well, if you want my opinion, I think I'd place it more towards the center, because whether it's the left or the right, if something doesn't fit with the Constitution, then it doesn't matter who it comes from.
Right. Exactly right. Yeah. Well, guys, I appreciate everybody for jumping into the Discord call. If there are any absolute haters here that just despise me, hey, if there's any haters in YouTube chat too that wants to jump in, all you got to do is go to the Hunter haters. Let me know that you're an actual genuine hater, and I'll put you in a one-on-one call. And we can talk for 5 minutes. All right? You can go ahead and you can literally just spill your guts out and just scream at me about how much you hate me.
All right, Hunter, I have a question for you.
You're a cunt, mate.
I saw you post a tweet earlier today or yesterday or something, and it said that you're a big Destiny fan, big liberal cuckboy, I guess.
I mean, I said that I think Destiny's pretty cool. He has some pretty good takes, yeah.
All right, so did you have any specific takes in mind when you posted that tweet?
Well, I really like his stance on economics. I like how he goes into a little bit more about how how we can solve certain issues within the current system, because I'm not very well read on economics. That's something that I'm really abysmal in.
Right, I see.
Excuse me. So I always try to keep a really open mind. So I've listened to a lot of arguments in favor of capitalism, in favor of socialism, whatever. And I think that there's definitely a compelling argument about capitalism overall needing some restrictions, and there needs to be more social safety nets and whatnot. And I just find myself agreeing with Destiny a lot when it comes to his economic stances. Yeah, as a capitalist and everything else.
I see. Okay. Well, fair enough. Well, yeah. Okay. I just wanted to clear that up because I got really triggered when I saw that.
Oh, are you a Destiny hater?
Well, I wouldn't say that, but I'm just memeing a little bit. But
okay.
Yeah, I'm not his biggest fan, but I do think he's a very intelligent person, and he does have good takes from time to time.
Pretty good arguments, yeah.
You're gonna hate him for not liking this.
I'm
Destiny.
All right. Well, guys, I'm going to split now. Thanks, everyone, for getting in the Discord call. Everyone else, feel free to join. Peace.
Love you.
Yo, I love you, Hunter.
Yeah.
See you, man.
Hey,
Thank you.
See you guys. Very cool. Yeah, well, you guys can go ahead and jump in the Discord. Follow me on there, whatever. I'm going in the Hunter Hater section. I am going to be keeping my eyes open and for you chat. Any of you dum-dums that want to like start hating or whatever, I'm going to start asking if you want to jump in. All right, we're going to go ahead and join my Discord to the back because we're moving on. Join my Discord. All right. Let's see. Now, as always, if you do want to help support the YouTube channel, feel free to put a message into the super chat. There, I will read your message and respond to it live. It's also a great way for you to help support the channel. So it will be extremely appreciated. Of course, not required by any means. I appreciate you guys just tuning in no matter what. But if you want to help support the channel, it does help quite a lot. And last time we talked about how great Keith was because he sent me PayPal money to buy McDonald's. All right. Go ahead and minimize this out. Let's get into the first topic of today. And that is Daunte Wright. By now, I'm sure most of you are aware of what happened. Some of you might not be, though. As always, there's a lot of information that goes around. Some of it wrong, some of it just misconstrued. You probably heard some fairly reductionist takes from people claiming that this man was killed for air fresheners or whatever, but that's not exactly what happened. Regardless, it's an absolute tragedy that the guy died, that he was killed. It was a fatal accident on the cop's part. So let's see. On Sunday afternoon, Mr. Wright was pulled over for a traffic violation related to expired registration tags. Officers then discovered he had a warrant for his arrest. I believe this was because of robberies. I think he had an unlicensed firearm, or he was under the age to legally possess a firearm. And then as the police, I'm not going to show you the video, but I did see the video myself. As the police tried to detain Mr. Wright, he stepped back into his car, prompting a brief struggle with officers. And then in the graphic body camera footage, you can see one of the officers shouting, "Taser." But she doesn't actually have a taser. She's holding her fucking gun. She yells an obscenity. She said, "Holy shit, I just shot him." It is my belief that the officer had the intention to deploy their taser, but instead shot Mr. Wright with a single bullet. So let's be really clear here. Because I know people are going to be here in the chat. Let's see. Yep. I see it everywhere. The guy ran. Don't resist arrest. Blah, 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 blah. First and foremost, sure. Was it very, very stupid of him to resist arrest? Absolutely. Yes. Was it also extremely stupid for the police to mistake their gun for a taser? Like, there's also a severe level of incompetence here. One thing here with Daunte Wright is a private citizen misbehaving when they're taken under arrest. The other is a professional police veteran who's been on the force for 26 years, accidentally grabbing her gun and firing an unarmed man in the back as he jumps into his car. Like, you could say, like, hey, let's say somebody is, let's say somebody's walking down the road, all right, and they're drunk. Let's say someone's really drunk, and they're walking down the road, and then they walk down across the street, and they're kind of in the middle of the road, like, mulling around, right? If you're driving down the street, and then you ram into that person, and you kill them, do you think you could just be like, well, you shouldn't have been in the street? It's true that you shouldn't have been in the street, but it doesn't negate from the fact that the officer committed a serious crime here. Like, I know it was an accident. Honestly, it's a tragic accident. I feel bad for the police officer. I'm not going to lie. I don't think there was any racist intent here. I don't think this officer had some racist, malicious, like evil intent, and she just wanted to go kill a black guy or something. None of that. No way. Now, of course, the reason protests are circulating in the because of this is for multiple different reasons. One, this happened only a few miles away from where George Floyd was killed. And two, the officer, the individual police officer, may have not had any racist intent, and she didn't. I don't think she's like a racist person. But it's not so much, was the individual officer a racist who just wanted to maliciously kill black people? The question is much more, why are black people disproportionately dying, or I would even say falling victim to police brutality? So, that's, Jesus Christ, what a fucking straw man. Hey, Vexed Lens, would you mind telling me what I just said that was a straw man of anything? Hunter No is arguing that she's going to jail. What more justice can happen here? I agree that she needs to go to jail, and she's going to. She's been charged with second-degree manslaughter. She's already resigned. Like, she obviously recognizes the fatal mistake that she made here. But it's also indicative of an underlying issue. It's not just, okay, that cop faced justice. That's good. I'm not saying that's not a good thing. It absolutely is. I'm glad that she's being brought to justice. She needs to face consequences for that mistake. But at the same time, again, it's about this disproportionate instance with police brutality. Let me pull up something really quickly. I always think this is a really solid source. Statista. Sorry, not really the time to be like cracking jokes. You can see here though, again, no one's saying that black people are killed more than white people, because again, white people make up way more in the population. It's a disproportionate death though. Black people disproportionately are affected by police brutality. Do you think she had racist intent, or was it just a mistake? I'm pretty sure I've made this abundantly clear now, but I think it was just a fatal mistake. I do not think this woman was a racist. But it's not a question so much about whether or not that individual officer was a racist. It's a question of, why is this right here a reality? Why are black communities over-policed? Well, there's more crime there. Why are black communities disproportionately involved in crime? Well, let's think about it. There's a lot of poverty there. We know that poverty is a very strong indicator of future criminality. Of course, nothing's causational, but it's strongly correlated. Well, why are black people disproportionately living in poverty then? Well, you can look back at previous racist policies that forced black people into concentrated, impoverished areas. And I've said this before, I'll say it again. It's a reality that if you are born poor, you're more likely to die poor. And so we see black people disproportionately still living in poverty today, even though the policy's gone, which is good. That's, again, a great place to start, of course. But it still has consequences. Everybody recognizes that policies and history have consequences. Irene, thank you for the $5 donation. Hunter, your Discord server is devolving into chaos. You need moderators. I can help if you want, but you should do something soon because it's bad. Oh. I don't even have that many people in here, guys. I'm looking and I mean, it looks like a bunch of people talking. There are going to be more channels soon. Don't worry. All right. Okay. Sour Apple, thanks for the $5. Do you know and or your thoughts on the YouTuber and Twitch streamer known as Actual Jake and Papa Jake? Yeah, I've been on a couple panels with him. He's always been pretty nice to me. I'm not really a big fan of his... All right, hold on, guys. I'm going to have to put the stream on a quick pause here. Geesh, so sorry. All right. I had to get something else set up with my stinking Discord server. It always I literally am trying so hard to like manage it. This always happens. All right. Okay. All right. Now let's go ahead and jump back into to this. Also, I'm seeing people say in the chat, by the way, that I once admitted on stream that I was bi with my friend Brayden, who was like my fucking friend. We made a joke. And they said he brushed it off like it was nothing, made a joke, but he was serious. Okay. Oh, God. Hunter, what do you think of the quartering? I watch him as well, but I don't agree with a lot of his takes, especially because, yeah, the quartering is one of the dumbest motherfuckers around. All right. The B-Boy, thank you for the $2. Hunter S. My Sussy. Sounds a little iffy. Not gonna lie. Double Sauce, thanks for the 5. How do you feel Biden is doing so far? Can you give him a letter grade A through F? I will be doing a video soon on Biden. Don't worry, everybody. I promise you. I have one in the works. Biden so far, I'd say maybe like a C plus, B minus maybe. Chris, thanks for the 5. A very small paywall to server access might help with trolls. I'm on a Discord server where it's $2 monthly and it's generally a nice community. Cool idea, actually. I might think about that. Yeah, cool. Maybe all you trolls in my Discord are going to go fucking have to pay now to clown on me. I thought I saw some like Zoomer dude in the community hangout thing that wanted to, that may have wanted to talk for like 5 minutes or so. All right. So yeah, what happened is Hunter's mad because Quartern called him out. All right, buddy. Yeah, what happened though with Daunte Wright? It was just a tragic accident. Like, so many things should have, like, could have gone better, and ultimately should have, especially on the police's part. I also think that resisting arrest, although bad, you shouldn't do that, obviously, is not necessarily warrant of being killed. I mean, people are literally, like the officer has resigned. She clearly has recognized that she made a horrible mistake. So demonstrators did, of course, clash with police. It looks like Mr. Wright's mom was saying that they want justice. They don't want it to be about violence. He was a dad also. This is another thing too, like, although he was involved in some bad shit and like committed some crimes, he also was, he's not just a criminal. Like, he was also a father. He was also someone's son. I don't know. I just think that it's important to remember to, you know, have some empathy with all this. It's really easy to be like, just don't resist arrest. But I don't think resisting arrest, at least in the way that this happened in this context, should have warranted him being killed. I think that we can all agree with that. Of course, if you're going for the officer's gun, if you have a gun, if you're brandishing a weapon, I get all that. Don't get me wrong. But in this specific context, Daunte Wright resisting arrest should not have warranted him being killed. I don't know. Ultimately, it's just a really sad tragedy, and it's indicative of an overall systemic issue as well. The B-Boy, thanks for the $2. Hunter, can you be my kitten / baka? What the fuck does that mean? Maybe if you donate a little more. Sure. Mango, yo. Kidding, bro. Thank you. Love you. Mango, yo. Thank you for the $2. Love you, bro. Oh, well, love you too. Evie Lord, thank you for the $2 for the memes. Nice. Sarah Raman, thank you for the $7. Hi, Hunter. I was wondering if you would ever talk about social issues with your viewers from other countries on your channel. I appreciate you very much. Thank you. I appreciate the donation. And yeah, for sure. I'd be happy to at some point. I think that would make for a really interesting conversation. All right. Cinnamon Toast Crunch 24. Thank you for following. That kind of makes me want Cinnamon Toast Crunch just a little bit. All right. Oh, you guys hear that? Taking a deep breath because we're about to jump into some really annoying territory here. Let's see. Nice. Thank you, Benchman for following. Welcome. Be sure to follow me on Twitch also, guys, because in a very short time, we are going to be having unique Twitch streams. Twitch streams that are exclusive for Twitch. So be sure to follow me on Twitch. All right. Double Sauce, thanks for the $5. Liberals or conservatives, which do you feel are more dangerous? I would probably say conservatives. Yeah, absolutely. Liberals can be really fucking cringe, don't get me wrong. And they have a bunch of their own problems, too. But I think if we're talking about, like, dangerous, yeah, it would absolutely be conservatives. I mean, there's a reason why, like, right-wing terrorism is, like, on the rise, and the Department of Homeland Security is repeatedly warned about the risk, domestic terrorism from white nationalist groups. You know, the risk that plays. Man, I'm drinking all my water already. I'm a thirsty boy. Someone asked me to do the Blair White voice. Okay, let me think. Well, what's a good thing for her to say? Look, the truth of the matter is that, well, no, I don't know. Listen, one time someone was really mean to me, so I think that there's a very high likelihood that they're a pedophile, guys. That would probably be it. Something like that. The cringe Valley Girl voice. It's so cringe. Speaking of cringe, let's talk about Matt Walsh. Because Matt Walsh had some stuff he wanted to talk about. Matt Walsh wants to tell us the truth about Daunte Wright. I'm sorry. Let me start that over. Matt Walsh wants to tell us the truth about the Daunte Wright encounter the left doesn't want you to hear. You hear that, guys? If you're a liberal, you're about to be real mad, because apparently you don't want me to hear anything that's going to be said in this video. Let it be known that Matt Walsh has also called me out before. I always like to bring that up just because, I don't know, I think it brings a little flutter to my heart to know I've been noticed by these people. But yeah, Matt Walsh is with the Daily Wire, with Ben Shapiro, that whole shtick. And he is so incredibly stupid. I think that Matt Walsh might actually be the missing link, because his level of thinking is at best the process of like a Neanderthal's brain. I mean, at best. This guy is so, like, the things he says on Twitter, the takes he has are so fucking retarded. And he's getting paid to do it, so why should he stop, right? So let's go ahead and see, let's hear about the truth. The truth about Daunte Wright. The left doesn't want us to hear about this.
Rioting continued in Minneapolis last night as looters, anarchists, and other assorted scumbags took advantage of the implicit permission they've been given to steal and destroy at will. We know this is the way it works now.
All right, sorry, 11 seconds in, but I gotta stop it already. First of all, I agree with something here. People that loot and riot are absolutely scumbags. You have to be an entitled, selfish piece of shit to essentially exploit a great deal of civil unrest so that you can go be a piece of shit and burn down a business or smash open some windows or steal a pair of Nikes or some shit. It's absolutely pathetic, and people have a right to protect their private property from arsonists and from looters. Absolutely. So let it be known at the very beginning of this video, because I want it to be crystal clear, because conservatives love to strawman. Looting is bad. I don't support looting. Don't do looting. But the second part of this, where he says, they're all being implicitly told now that this is okay. Could you elaborate? I mean, where? Like, I know you have your cringy liberal celebrities who sometimes are like, looting, there's nothing wrong with that, haha, or whatever, but at the same time, you can look last year with the George Floyd protests, hundreds of people were arrested for committing, for acting out and like, for rioting, for looting. The National Guard gets sent out whenever this kind of shit happens. So where are people being implicitly told that it's okay to loot? People consistently go to prison or at least get arrested and face criminal charges for participating in looting and rioting. So where is this really being implicitly encouraged? I know you're going to have your like people here and there that have their dumb fuck takes that it's completely fine to riot or whatever, but I just like overall the law certainly does not allow for this or by any means encourage this.
If there's a police shooting, well, only a police shooting of a black person, of course, as we discussed yesterday, police shooting of a white person, we're not supposed to care about that, but police shooting of a black person, what that means is that you're allowed to just go out and destroy things. That's the precedent we've set now.
Huge straw man. First of all, the thing he says about the media not covering when it happens to white people, a couple things there. One, that's not really a complaint as much about the media. It's more a complaint with capitalism. It's just the truth of the matter that media organizations, as private companies trying to make a profit, are of course trying to get as much engagement and interaction with their source as possible. And it's consistently shown that emotional, anger-inducing headlines, that's what grabs people. That's what gets clicks. That's what gets the engagement. That's what makes the money. And you'll notice that the media, he always... Wow, look at my voice cracking like this. This is why you watch me on stream, so you can hear when my voice cracks and you can hear that I'm actually like... The one thing I'm lying about is my age, because I'm secretly still going through puberty. That's the thing I don't want anyone to know. Now I kind of lost my train of thought because I was caught up in thinking about
things. That's the precedent we've set now. One store that got it and destroy things. That's the precedent we've. But police shooting of a black person, what that means is that you're allowed to just go out and destroy.
Oh yeah, that's right. Also, keep in mind that this guy, he's the media. He's with the Daily Wire. They're one of the most popular conservative media outlets in America. And you'll notice that how come they like to always bring up when something happens to a white person that the media won't cover? Because it gets them clicks, because it gets conservative outrage, because it gets them money. It's the same cycle on every side, dude. Like, everyone's trying to use, not everyone, sorry, but a lot, any kind of media conglomeration is most likely going to have some selective bias in what and how they cover things based on what makes them money. Duh. So, I'm sorry that sometimes it doesn't get covered as much, but the other thing also is that, with the free market, right? When people are outraged, when a bunch of people are pissed off about another black person getting killed by the cops, then that outrage also kind of feeds into the media because people are outraged, or the media wants to cover it, and it kind of goes into a circle. It's kind of a vicious cycle there.
Destroy things. That's the precedent we've set now. One store that got hit especially hard was a Dollar Tree in downtown Minneapolis. The store was ransacked, vandalized, and then set on fire. Now let's watch some brief...
Oh my God. They burned down a Dollar Tree? Oh my God. That's like hundreds of dollars in damages.
Footage of the aftermath. And even more importantly, I want you to listen to this clip. Let's listen. All right, you hear that?
Okay.
It sounds like
they're laughing.
People laughing
Yeah.
and joking around after they just randomly destroyed a local business for no reason.
Yeah, it sounds like people that are looting and rioting are pieces of shit most of the time. Like, yeah. What is he proving exactly?
The media tells us that the people who did this are emotionally distraught, angry, striving in their own unique way for racial justice.
Here we go. So that's what he's trying to get at, is how the media is telling us that these people... Really, Matt? Is the media telling us that these specific people laughing and goofing around after they just ransacked a fucking Dollar Tree are just hurt individuals striving for racial justice? Or is it that, generally speaking, the protests, at least last year, were majority peaceful, and usually there are peaceful groups that protest, and then that disperses into people that aren't so peaceful. The overall civil unrest leads to a lot of crap. But the problem here is not, you saying that looting is bad isn't going to change anything. The media also, I don't really know what he means about the media trying to justify the looting. I literally did some research for this video ahead of time, and I read on CNN on purpose because I know that that's the liberal fake news media. And when they talked about the protests, the first thing they talked about were some of the riots and the destruction and them clashing with police and everything else. It's almost like a false narrative that they've construed, that the mainstream media never says anything about any kind of rioting or looting. But I'm getting a little bit off subject here. What Matt Walsh is doing here is basically taking the lazy beta bitch boy way out of this issue. He's now just sitting up on his fucking high horse saying, yeah, looting, bad. Looting, bad. Looting, bad. Okay, Matt, we know. We all agree that looting is bad. But here's the thing. Most likely, if people are already to the point where they are looting, I don't think they care all that much about being a great member of society. I don't think they care all that much about your virtue signal here, about how bad looting is. I don't think that the people that were laughing and treating it like it was a big old fucking party, burning down a freaking Dollar Tree, I don't think they're going to sit down here and watch your little speech. I don't think they're going to sit down here and watch you preach about how bad looting is, and then they're going to go, wow, looting is bad. I should pick up my cross and follow the Lord Jesus Christ. It's not going to happen, my dude. So what we need to actually do is figure out why. Why is looting occurring? Usually looting happens because scumbag pieces of shit try and take advantage of civil unrest. Some of that, and also what happens is sometimes it's just it's truth. This doesn't justify it, but it's just the truth of the matter also that some people are very angry and they are very impassioned and they get caught up in the moment and end up doing something that's really fucking bad. Now, I don't think that's the case for these people laughing while they burnt down the Dollar Tree, but that sometimes is what leads to looting. So rather than just saying looting bad, we should actually assess the problem as to what's causing the looting, what's causing the civil unrest for these people to exploit for their own selfish, entitled scumbag reasons. Well, it usually comes because communities, especially like Minneapolis, where George Floyd was killed and now this just happened, don't like when black people are disproportionately victimized by police brutality. So when that happens, that causes a great deal of civil unrest. That causes a great deal of national outrage. So we kind of went over this in an earlier segment, but I'm going to go over it again because this is going to be a segment as well. But Hunter, you called a looted Dollar Tree as hundreds of dollars. Come on, it was a little joke, man. Don't start with the moral grandstanding, please. So we need to ask ourselves, though, well, why are black people disproportionately falling victim to police brutality? Because they're disproportionately living in poverty. I want to go over some sources here, and I want to actually break this down as comprehensively as I possibly can, because I think it's really important that I explain my position here. Okay? So, let's start with this. Let's start with redlining. Now, you've probably heard me talk about redlining before on the stream. You've probably heard me talk about redlining when I was debating Joel Patrick. I talk about it a lot. But I'm going to go over it again because I think there are people here that probably haven't heard this before. And there are also people here that probably starkly disagree that, like, systemic racism is even a thing. So are you ready? Here's the big solution. This is how we fix looting, everybody. So, let me see if I can find the beginning of this. In 1933, all right, the U.S. government was faced with a housing shortage. And they began a program that was, right here, explicitly designed to increase and segregate America's housing stock. The government's efforts were primarily designed to provide housing to white, middle-class, lower middle-class families. So this was a government policy. This Federal Housing Administration, established in 1934, furthered the segregation efforts by refusing to insure mortgages in and near African-American neighborhoods, a policy known as redlining. So this was a clear as day policy. This is like, whenever you talk about systemic racism now, conservatives are very, very quick to be like, well, there's nothing in policy. Let's look right here. I know this was in 1934, but don't worry, we're going to get to it. This was a explicit racist policy designed to discriminate against black people. They were even subsidizing builders who were mass producing entire subdivisions for whites with the requirement that none of the homes be sold to African Americans. And they justified this by basically saying that African Americans bought homes that if they bought homes in these suburbs, or even if they bought homes near these suburbs, the property values of the homes they were insuring, the white homes they were insuring, would decline, and therefore their loans would be at risk. But this is literally not true. Black people were even willing to pay more for loans. So it was just blatant discrimination here. So I just want to hammer this in first. First and foremost, I just want to fucking hammer this in. That this was a real policy that lasted a long-ass time. This started back in the early 30s. African-American families that were prohibited from buying homes in the suburbs in the 1940s and 50s and even into the 60s gained up to the 60s, dude. We have parents that were like alive then. By the Federal Housing Administration. So African-American families that were prohibited from buying homes in the suburbs in the 1940s and 50s and even in the 60s by the Federal Housing Administration gained none of the equity appreciation that whites gained. So while white people are able to use their home equity to send their children to college, to advance their wealth, to produce generational wealth, which is really important also, black people missed out on that for decades. Decades at a time. This wasn't just a couple years. This was decades. And this follows my next point, which is poverty carries over through generations. Not always. It's not a 100% thing. But generally speaking, if you are born into wealth, you're more likely to die wealthy. And if you're born into poverty, you're more likely to die poor. I'm going to try to find something here. This also goes into detail about how public housing began in this country for civilians during the New Deal, and it was an attempt to address a housing shortage. It wasn't a welfare program for poor people. So at first, it kind of started out this way. The white projects had large number of vacancies. Black projects had long waiting lists. Eventually it became so conspicuous that the public housing authorities in the federal government opened up the white designed projects to African Americans, and they filled with African Americans. At the same time industry was leaving the cities, African Americans were becoming poorer in those areas. The projects became projects for poor people, not for working class people. They became subsidized. They hadn't been subsidized before, and so they became vertical slums that we came to associate with public housing. So the government repeatedly fucked over black people. Repeatedly. So is there really any surprise that now, to this very day, there is a huge wealth gap between black people and white people? To this day. It's almost as if policies have consequences, and just getting rid of a policy that forced people into poverty, into subsidized fucking homes for decades at a time due to their race, believe it or not, that actually has consequences. Policy can affect things. What? Why are you licking your hand? I had something on my tongue. Can everyone just clip it if you don't like it, all right? Just kidding. So my point here is that poverty carries over. So it's no surprise at all that we still see black people to this day disproportionately in poverty. But even more so, poverty is a strong indicator and predictor of criminality. It doesn't, well, I might want to rephrase that. Poverty is strongly correlated to crime. Let's see. I'm going to try to find something here because this gives some really good information on this. All right. So they talk about how it's a vicious cycle. Poverty causes crime and crime causes poverty. The system will take relatively minor offenses, turn them into criminal convictions. There are a lot of things that need to change here, like the war on drugs, which, by the way, was another policy that was invented with explicit racist intent. But yeah, like it's also a fact that poverty and crime are very closely related. So it's no surprise then that we also see a disproportionate crime rate in black communities. There's a large amount of gang violence there, which also is because of multiple different systemic issues. When there are people that are very adversarial with the existing, I don't want to say system, but when there are communities of people who are adversarial with the police, they tend to form their own kind of outside groups. And that's a lot of the times where gangs come from as well. But yeah, it's no surprise then that we see more gang violence, more criminality in disproportionately committed by black people, because black people are disproportionately living in poverty because of racist policies, because of racism. So if you're living in poverty, then you're more likely to commit crime. And if you're more likely to commit crime, you're obviously more likely to have run-ins with the police. These communities are also over-policed. So we need to be looking at solutions to the poverty gap. We need to fix this on an economic level, and on another level, we need to look at the police system, which also needs to be reformed. So that's my main argument here, is we need to address the systemic issue with police and this disproportionate poverty issue, which is due to systemic racism. We need to address systemic racism, which will overall reduce run-ins with police, which will reduce police brutality, which will reduce civil unrest, which will reduce looting. So what's funny here is Matt Walsh, big brain Matt Walsh, he tries to bring up this looting thing more as an obfuscation so that you don't have to talk about the systemic issues. Instead, you can just say, hey, look, the looting has started. Look how bad they are, guys. When in reality, it's almost as if we all address systemic issues, which is what Black Lives Matter, the movement, ultimately is fighting for, then maybe we can reduce looting also. That's my impassioned speech, Mr. Matt Walsh.
From the look and sound of it, it seems to me that these people just thought it'd be kind of fun to steal and burn some stuff.
Yeah,
that's it.
Probably. Pieces
Now,
of
all
shit.
kinds of jokes could be made here about the whole idea of looting a Dollar Tree, of all places. I mean, a store that already practically gives its items away for free, and you loot there. But there really isn't anything funny about it. The fact is that low-income people in that city rely on the Dollar Tree and places like Dollar Tree for household goods and groceries. The, quote, protesters decided to speak out against police brutality by once again victimizing members of their own community.
Straw man, you literally, like, it was a video of some people being dumb and rioting and looting a fucking Dollar Tree. You don't necessarily know, like, it wasn't like it was like Black Lives Matter protesters that just like ran over and started like breaking shit down. I don't know.
And they are protesters again, of course, just so we know. After a brief detour on January 6, 2021, we're back now to calling rioters protesters and using euphemisms like unrest to describe the mass destruction of property. So make sure to
Is unrest a euphemism? Isn't that just describing what it is? Buddy, it's not a euphemism. It literally is just like the definition. Okay. We're not going to get too hung up on semantics there, but all right.
update your language guides accordingly. Meanwhile, the police on Monday afternoon, before the second round of rioting kicked off, released the body cam footage of the attempted arrest and then shooting of Daunte Wright. Initial reports were that Wright was pulled over for having an air freshener in his car. This was immediately translated through the demented translation engine known as Twitter into Daunte Wright having been shot by police for having an air freshener.
Again, like, so many things he's saying are just like obvious. Yeah, Twitter's full of reductionist idiots that don't have good takes very often. Okay.
As expected, none of this is any.
Do people really pay for this, honestly? So is it stuff like redlining that's led to more black people in poverty and crime? Yes. Yep. Redlining is one example. There's also one, racial covenants, which we're going to talk about when this video allows for it.
Anywhere within the vicinity of the ballpark of the truth. Not true at all. Wright was stopped for an expired registration. Not an unusual thing to be stopped for. I myself have been stopped for the same reason on more than one occasion, mostly because I have a deep...
So this is apparently the truth that the left doesn't want us to hear. Yet, wait, didn't we read this from... Wait. Didn't we read the thing about what happened in the earlier segment? That was from New York... Was that from New York Times? Bruh. Yep, this is what the left, the liberal left media doesn't want you to know, guys. Meanwhile, you can literally read about this on CNN and the New York Times. Come on, man. They just make shit up.
Phobia of sitting in the DMV, and I'll put it off for as long as possible, basically until they pull me over and give me a fine. That's when I know that it's time to do it.
The one thing I agree with Matt Walsh on here, yeah, the DMV sucks balls.
In Wright's case, the cops, upon stopping him, found out that there was a warrant for his arrest. He was wanted on a weapons charge and had skipped his court date. Wright had a rap sheet extending beyond even that, including an arrest for aggravated robbery a few months prior. The Brooklyn Center police chief said that Wright was shot accidentally after he resisted arrest and climbed back into his car to try and escape. One of the arresting officers, a female, pulled her gun when she meant to go for her taser.
That's the thing I don't understand. How do you fucking do that, man? How do you pull... How do you do this? How do you mix these things up? How? Spot the difference, kids. Can you see the difference? One is a life ender. The other is a fucking, like, electro spike. Look, They look so radically different. I guess this looks kind of similar, a little more so. But god damn, the veteran, the police officer who mistook her gun for a taser was on the force for 26 years. How do you mix these things up? I did see an article over here that I haven't looked at yet, but I would be curious to see what it says. Let's see. She yelled taser. While the exact model is... So we don't know the exact model that Officer Kim Potter, who was the officer that shot Daunte. We're not sure exactly which one. Like what model she had. The images show the general difference. They weigh pretty different. Still, while the grips and the Glocks and the taser are made from a similar type of... While Glocks have a trigger safety, while tasers do not. They feel differently in your hands. Alright, so how did they mistake it then? Hold on, I'm not the only one who's curious here, right? Yeah, right here. This is kind of what I was thinking. A John Jay professor and co-author of Use of Force Training and Law Enforcement, a Reality-Based Approach, said people underestimate the level of stress police officers experience during traffic stops. A lot of police officers get killed doing what should be routine traffic stops, and a veteran officer like Potter would be acutely aware of that. The longer you're on the job, the more layers of stress you accumulate. And errors of judgment happen when you are under stress. So sometimes when you're under a lot of stress, like someone who's about to make a run for it, sometimes you can make some really, really stupid mistakes, it sounds like. It's not really an excuse, but at least it's an explanation. Just really tragic shit. But yeah, man, poor Kim. Poor Kim Potter, man. That sucks.
Now, the body cam footage seems to fully support the claim that it was accidental.
Yeah.
Let's
No, we're not going to go over this. It's
obviously.
too disturbing to watch.
So I'll give you that warning,
Sorry,
but let's watch it now.
All right.
Happened there, but they were arresting Wright, and he broke free.
You can look at the video somewhere else, and we already know what happened. He was being handcuffed. The officer said, "Don't do it, don't do it," because you could tell that he was going to try to make a run for it. Then he did. You saw the officer say, "Taser, taser," and then she did it. She dabbed on him.
Free, tried to get into his car. But it's what you hear her say at the end. It's obvious from her reaction that she didn't mean to shoot him.
Right.
You know, now that's no excuse, of course, and it wouldn't get her out of, and I suspect it will not get her out of the criminal charges that are probably coming. Any officer that can't tell the difference between a taser and a gun shouldn't be on the force. That's uncontroversial. I think we all agree. Nearly everyone's on the same page on that score. And there is, I would guess, near universal agreement that she should not have made the mistake she made.
Yeah.
Everyone agrees.
Okay. So that's really the question here, right? Like, she's the professional. She had a responsibility to handle her weapon properly. Should Daunte Wright have tried to make a run for it? Absolutely not. That was very fucking stupid. He would not have benefited himself at all to try and make a run for it. If anything, he would have just made his entire situation worse. But again, in the context of that video and how everything went down, it was not right that he was killed. It was absolutely wrong for the police officer. You acknowledge this also, Matt.
Will now be held accountable for that mistake.
Yes.
If we were interested in making actually useful reforms to the police, however, what we talk about now is how a female police officer who obviously can't physically subdue suspects and also isn't competent with her service weapon managed to remain on the force for, we're told now, 26 years.
Maybe this was like one fatal mistake.
There's quite a lot of talk about police reform, but this is reform The reform we really need, and it's the one that we don't talk about.
What?
It is a hazard to have cops on the force who can be easily overpowered by almost any male suspect that they come across. And that's going to put them in a position either where suspects get away or where they have to resort to a taser or a gun where a more physically well-matched police officer may not have needed to use either.
Am I hearing this correctly? Did Matt Walsh talk about euphemisms, man? It sounds like Matt Walsh is basically getting at is that women shouldn't be police officers. He said, how is this female officer who can easily be subdued, how is she on the force? I think the reform we need is anybody that it can be easily subdued by a male suspect doesn't belong on the force. Am I looking too deep into that? Maybe I shouldn't be. I think that Matt Walsh was pretty much getting at that women shouldn't be police officers, or that because women are more frail and weak and fragile, they're more likely to pull their firearm out because they're more likely to be scared. That's pretty much his argument here. He's just saying women should not be police. Yeah, absolutely. That's pretty much what he's getting at here. It's really funny because he called just a definition a euphemism, and now he's actually using a euphemism here. Also, I did something that Matt Walsh really would have hated. Matt Walsh would be really mad if he knew I did this. But I fact-checked him. And it turns out that according to Pew Research Center, female officers are less likely than male officers to view aggressive tactics as necessary for dealing with some people or places. You can see here, according to Pew Research, that women overwhelmingly agree that aggressive force is not always necessary. So that's one study that disproves what Matt Walsh is getting at here. But let's go ahead and make it let's make it a little more fair. Let's bring up another one also. From the University of San Diego. According to an article in The Atlantic, women officers are less likely to use excessive force or pull their weapon. They're defendants in lawsuits far less often than men. So there's another one also, directly related to his claim, which was female officers are weak and frail, so they're more likely to pull their weapon because they're scared. Sorry, buddy. Looks like Pew Research Center and this article here, The Atlantic. Oh, buddy. I wish that you could have just done a little bit of research. Maybe no one's talking about that because it's just not true. Anybody that takes Daily Wire seriously is a fucking brain-dead retard. I'm sorry, I'm not taking any of those words back. Hunter, what happened, bro? Your content sucks. Get in my Discord right now, suck. Talk to me right now. I dare you right now. What sucks about what I'm saying? Everything I've just said here is true. I just literally brought up data points and statistics from Pew fucking Research Center that disproves what Matt Walsh was getting at.
But again, the police reformers on the left, they don't want to have that conversation.
Because it's not true.
A female police officer, 26 years on the force. This now is a middle-aged woman. She's not going to be physically subduing anyone. And obviously not competent with her service weapon. 26 years she made it? But like I said, we don't want to talk about that. Even less do we want to talk...
What do you mean? She's off the force. You extrapolate from this one instance and is like, I guess all women should just not be police officers now.
About and have the conversation about Daunte Wright's behavior. Now, I realize that by saying what I'm about to say, I put myself in line for all kinds of angry accusations that I'm a heartless, victim-blaming SOB and so forth. But the truth is that I actually don't want people to die. Talk about an uncontroversial view.
Yet he's against acknowledging systemic racism, systemic inequality that leads to black people disproportionately being victimized by police. Also, what's funny, I recognize that this isn't directly related, but Matt Walsh is also against like gender affirming care for trans people, which has been medically proven to like potentially save their life or at least decrease their risk of suicide.
What should be uncontroversial. I don't want people to die. I don't want people to be shot by the cops. I don't want cops to end up in the position that this female officer is now in. I don't want any of this. It's all bad. Everything about this is bad. I don't want any of it. And anyone who feels this way, who actually wants to preserve human life, along with peace and law and order while we're at it, would acknowledge the following reality, which is this. If Daunte Wright had not resisted arrest, he would be alive today.
You could do this just as easily. The simple fact of the matter is this. Listen, if Kim Potter hadn't mistook their gun for a taser, Daunte Wright would be alive today. What you're doing right now is basically putting like the majority of the onus on him. When Kim Potter was the professional who fucked up here.
Period. He was wanted on a valid warrant. Okay, this wasn't some ticky-tack thing. This was not him getting shot in the process of a traffic stop. No.
No one's saying it wasn't.
He was found in possession of a firearm. That's what the warrant was about. That according to Minnesota state law, he was too young to possess. Also,
what happened?
He has a history of...
I think my YouTube just timed out from just how dumb it was. I'm not seeing too many people crying yet. Hate too many of the haters over here in my Discord yet. All right. Let's go back here.
No. He was found in possession of a firearm. That's what the warrant was about. That according to Minnesota state law, he was too young to possess. Also, he has a history of drug and robbery arrests, which would probably make him ineligible for a permit, I imagine.
Okay.
What this all means is that he broke the law.
Okay.
And the police have a right and responsibility to bring him in.
Yeah, to bring him in. Alive. Like, no, everything you're saying here is just, it's completely compatible with, I guess, like, like, it's not an either or thing.
They were doing so peacefully without a problem. Okay, until Wright pushed the officer away and tried to speed away in his car, planning, I suppose, to lead the officers on a high-speed chase with a passenger in the vehicle with him.
Yeah, we know. It's dumb. It was stupid. Like, we know
a little bit later.
Yes. All of that was dumb. He shouldn't have done that. Very bad. But you acknowledged he shouldn't have been killed for that. So, okay?
There is no plausible scenario where Wright runs away and actually evades the police successfully and then lives happily ever after. That's not going to happen. It's either prison or the hospital or the morgue.
And I don't think resisting arrest should necessarily warrant you winding up in the morgue. If you have a weapon, if you brandish a weapon, if you go for the officer's weapon, then that's different. But in this instance, he shouldn't have ended up in the morgue.
The moment that Daunte Wright pushed the police officers away and got back in his car, he made a decision that was absolutely guaranteed to lead to the hospital, the prison, or the morgue. No other possible options. The only outcomes when you do what Wright did.
Nothing he's saying right now.
Which means that if we want young men like Wright to avoid prisons and avoid the hospitals and avoid the morgues, and I do, then our message should be, don't do that.
This is so surface level. Just don't resist arrest and you'll be good. Is that really it? There's disproportionate police brutality against black people. Sometimes they're not resisting arrest and it still happens. What do you say in those situations then? Well, you should have just resisted even less. I mean, look at George Floyd, a very perfect example. Someone who was in handcuffs, wasn't resisting arrest for like 10 plus minutes, 3 of which he wasn't breathing while there was still a knee on his neck. So I don't know what this has to really, where the relevance is here. Like, don't resist arrest. Yeah, I think most people know that.
Don't do that. Am I saying that Wright is partially responsible for his own death? Yes. Of course he is. He made a choice, a bad choice, an illegal choice that set off a series of events which resulted in his death.
But the series of events should have resulted in him being chased down and taken to prison and given even stronger and more severe charges. Not getting killed.
He made a choice, a bad choice, an illegal choice that set off a series of events which resulted in his death. Does that absolve the police officer? No. You know, right. Two people can be responsible for an event that happens. That is quite often the case.
Okay.
So she is also responsible. There's lots of responsibility to go around, but when you absolve Wright and people like Wright, when you absolve him completely.
There's the straw man. I was waiting for it. Who in the fucking hell is absolving Wright? Everybody talked about what went down. Everybody talked about his criminal charges. It was covered in the media. Who is absolving Wright?
All you're doing is encouraging more Daunte Wrights, which means more death and more suffering and more mothers mourning. You are not the compassionate one in that case.
No, Matt, you're the one who's lacking compassion when all you do is, instead of looking at the actual underlying systemic issues, you instead say, well, just don't resist arrest, and then lick and deep throat the boot that's crushing your skull. Here's some better advice. If we want less individuals ending up like Wright, and what I mean by that is less individuals who are involved in crime, less individuals who have an adversarial relationship with police, and less police brutality overall, then once again, we need to address these systemic issues. Specifically, there are systemic racist issues in Minneapolis. There were racist covenants that were written into Minneapolis housing. Another thing similar to redlining here, the scars are still visible today. So this article really goes into detail right here about how economic prosperity in the 20s brought a housing boom to cities, and as a new middle class equipped with now widely available automobiles look to buy homes, Minneapolis's footprint spread south. So let's see here. Racial discrimination in deeds had been legally unforeseeable for more than... Wait. So the first racial restrictions on deeds, often called racial covenants, appeared in Minneapolis shortly after the turn of the 20th century. That developers would go to the trouble to put restrictive language in deeds was not a response to crying. Let's see. Wow, so you can see here that here's an ethics handbook from 1924 by the National Association of Real Estate Boards, where it even codified the realtor's responsibility to exclude black people from buying homes. It says a realtor should never be instrumental in introducing into a neighborhood a character of property or occupancy, members of any race or nationality, or any individuals whose presence will clearly be detrimental to property values in that neighborhood. What does that mean? So this was something that existed specifically in Minneapolis. I'm sorry I'm kind of pausing a little bit in this part. I'm trying to find all the information here. So neighborhoods that were already well established as wealthy white enclaves when covenants came about didn't need them to achieve the same ends. There were other people to keep people who were considered undesirable out. She cited an example she read about where a white family selling a home hired a detective to make sure prospective buyers were up to the neighborhood's standards. Let's see. So racial covenants existed in Minneapolis for quite a while. Let's see, when was it absolved? So in 1948, the Supreme Court case, Shelley v. Kramer, struck down racial covenants. So redlining was literally still going on also at this time. Minneapolis is still living with the legacy of racial covenants today. On average, Minneapolis neighborhoods with racial covenants are 79% white compared to 53% in the city overall, according to Kevin, a co-founder of Mapping Prejudice. The median assessed value of homes in coveted areas is $235,000, $10,000 more than the city as a whole. Near North is much more diverse population of 55% Black or African American, 17% Asian, Pacific Islander, 9%. Its median household income is $28,000, and nearly 60% of households make less than $35,000 per year. Less than a quarter of residents over age 25 have a bachelor's degree or higher. Holy shit. So it's almost as if these previous racist policies forcing people into poverty still has consequences today. I know they talk about a place like Diamond Lake was a concentrated pocket of whiteness where property values climbed over time, over a period of time where African Americans were shut out legally from living there. By the time they were allowed to buy there, it was out of reach because so many people had not had the opportunity to amass the kind of capital they needed. Home equity lines, again, are one of the biggest ways that Americans build wealth and send their kids to college. This is a massive opportunity that existed in massive opportunity that Black people were not given because of their race in Minneapolis specifically. So if you want to actually see less instances where people are involved in criminality, have adversarial relationships with police, you're going to want to look at reducing poverty, which you do by addressing systemic inequality and this disproportionate poverty that exists due to racist policies of the past. It's not that hard to understand.
You may get to play the compassionate one on the internet or out.
All right, does he say anything else, or have we seen enough?
When we know that they are not identical. This is just another common sense insight that many people are hectored into pretending that they don't see or understand.
Yeah, talk about pretending. His entire video is just pretending that, like, the left is saying that this guy did nothing wrong ever and was literally Jesus Christ. What the fuck are you talking about, dude? Well, there you guys have it. Matt Walsh taking baby steps, refusing to actually acknowledge the underlying issues, and instead just repeating looting bad like an NPC. Feels bad, man. Gills Nova Guy, thank you for the generous $50 donation. Hot take, debates are completely worthless. In the end, nobody changes their mind, and they still maintain the same political opinions. I know in your case, your debates with Walsh and Surrey's did help change your views, but most of the time, it doesn't. Do I disagree, truth or fiction? I think that it just depends on the debate. I think that if you're going into a debate to be a little more performative, to just kind of yell or argue or whatever, then yeah, they're probably worthless for like changing people's mind. But I think that if you're actually trying to have a good faith discussion, which is what I had with Walsh, I think that that can lead to positive change. Ultimately, I think that you should never be afraid of a debate. And I think that just if you say, they're worthless, that's sometimes not always a justification to avoid a debate, I'd say. Daniel Welsh, thank you for the $9.99. You and Kanye would be my dream threesome. Wow. Thank you, Daniel. You're gonna have to donate a little more than $9.99 though, buddy. For that one, buddy. I'm sorry. Gills Nova Guy, thank you again for the 20. Hey, I'm back from getting those gains once again. By the way, you should watch Dreg. He's a satirist who focuses specifically on extreme and obscure political ideologies. He basically mocks everybody on the political spectrum. That sounds funny. I'll have to check him out. Evie Lord, thanks for the 2. Yes, they look different, but they feel very similar. Internet Surfer, thank you for the $10 donation. Hunter, my dog barked at a fat rabbit. Also, you need to fix your Discord. Thank you. Guys, I know I just started the Discord, okay? Please give me a break. I'm just an innocent man.
It's really fun.
Yo, is there anybody in this community hangout here who is like waiting to debate me that hates me? Genuinely.
Me too. Oh, yo, what's up, Hunter?
What's up, guys?
Everyone loves Zodiac.
Oh, damn.
You missed out on the funny moments in the BC call.
Scary.
Are you guys just all hanging out, just chilling here? There's no one here that's like waiting to just like yell at me or something?
Oh, is that the guy who?
Hello.
Oh, this is.
Would you like to be my friend?
Yo, Hunter.
Oh my God, the call, no.
Who is it?
Okay, before it goes
Thoughts
insane,
on
I just want to
Israel,
say
bro?
big fan.
Thank you. Wait, who is it that's coming in the stream?
Hey, you, I just want to say hi.
Hi, how you doing?
Jesus
good.
Christ.
Cringe, I know.
Is there...
Hunter, I'm a massive fan.
Yo, wait,
I love
wait,
politics.
Hunter. I got a big question. Do you
Yeah.
think the cognition LDM there's
You know what?
Hunter, when you can make
This is
numbers
one.
back.
No, this is a debate that you got me, buddy. I'm backing out of this one. You got me, man. Checkmate.
Holy
All
shit,
right.
this is actually on stream.
Yeah, this is on stream. See you guys. I'm gonna dip.
Oh, wait,
All right. Yeah, gotta get out of there before that gets worse than it already is. God damn. I'm gonna have to police that a lot more heavily when I get off of this. All right, guys. Well, hold on. There's one other thing I might be able to check here. So how's everyone doing today? Damn, that was chaos. I know. Just think you're confused with yourself? Say it to me on Discord or don't say it at all, pal. That's the new motto, alright? Alright, I'm gonna see here, because there is someone else that might want to come on. Alright, I'll give this like 5 minutes and talk to you chat and see if this guy gets back to me. If not, then I'll just talk to him another time. Did you see Lauren Chen defending Steven Crowder? Of course she did. That should be surprising to approximately nobody. Do you think conservatives hate college because it makes them smarter? Are you middle liberal or conservative? I'm like center liberal, sock dem. I don't know. That's like center liberal. Some people consider that like left. Some people consider that liberal. I don't know. All right. Did you hear Xander Hall's going to debate Lauren Southern? Yeah, I did hear about that. That's going to be cool. Hunter, do you construct your arguments in a similar way to Walsh? I mean, probably sometimes, but not like purposely. No way you were center. Yeah, maybe I'm too smart to be a centrist. Maybe you're right, dude. That's what you were getting at, right? Whoops. There we go. for normal people like Hunter. He's about to debate her in only 15 minutes. Interesting. Maybe I should go over that at some point. All right, well, it's not looking like I'm getting very quick responses, and I'm a very impatient person, so I'm going to just say never mind. We'll talk tomorrow. All right, yep, there we go. All right, guys, well, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I mean, I'm still on here. I would be down to, like, talk to somebody if they disagreed with me on something. I, of course, always appreciate hearing people that enjoy my content. Of course, I really enjoy, you know, talking to everybody there. Don't get me wrong, but, you know, I don't want to just be sitting there like, okay, everybody, tell me how much you like me. Hunter, I'm so glad I made the same journey you did from right-wing edgelord to centrist. Glad to hear it. Welcome. Yeah. Nice. Thank you for following on Twitch. All right. I did also get $20 donation here from Elise Atkinson. Thank you so much. Said, yeah, boy. Yeah, boy, indeed. Thank you so much for the very generous donation to my PayPal. I appreciate that. That always means quite a lot. The Discord has a 6-hour mute. Hunter, we sim for you. I kind of want to go, but then at the same time, I kind of want to like talk to somebody who absolutely despises me, because that's always really fun. But nobody apparently wants to. Hunter, you should do a debate with Ariel. No, I'm not doing a debate with Ariel Scarcella. I mean, if she wants to, I'd talk to her. That'd be fun. All right, guys. Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I'm going to see you all later. And thank you to everybody who generously donated to the stream today. Thanks for helping to support the channel. And shout out again to our top donor, Jill's Nova Guy. Thank you, man. Really means so much. Your support really is very helpful. So thanks so much. Thanks, everybody who tuned in.